This is Mrs. Jennifer Hartley. She is a kindergarten teacher at Alexandria Elementary School with a master's degree in early childhood education, and you've been here for 12 years. So I'm going to ask you just a few questions about technology, if you don't mind. The first question I'm going to ask you is, what are some of the difficulties of using technology in your classroom?
Technology is great to use in our classroom, especially on the kindergarten level, because so many kids grow up now, using iPads in their house, using different technology things. But the problem we run into at school is when they don't work. Sometimes you just rely on it a little bit too much. So that's why I started kind of teaching myself how to fix things that were wrong with our technology. And now I'm actually the technology coordinator for the school, because I've kind of taught myself how to fix problems with computers and just looked at blogs and Googled until I could figure out how to fix something. So
maybe I need to bring you my stuff.
Probably so, I can fix it. But that's the biggest problem, is if you are not technology savvy and you have things in your classroom that you don't know how to fix, then when you're relying on them to work and they don't work, then that's when you run into a problem. So
how has technology changed your teaching methods?
At the beginning, when I first started teaching, we didn't have technology in our classroom other than just some old boxy computers. So you really had to rely on your teaching methods, the things that you learn in college, how to teach, and you had to just pull, we'd just make up a song, or I'd have a CD with a song, for practicing letter sounds or whatever. But then I think it was my third year, we started getting our projectors and our Elmos and laptops in our classroom, and it totally changed everything, because, at the touch of a button, I could find anything on YouTube or on Google or TeacherTube. We used TeacherTube for a while, but now we have a blocker on our Google. So if you go to a video on YouTube that has something that's inappropriate, then it blocks it. So
that's nice.
Yes, so we don't have to quite worry so much. Some people still use TeacherTube. It just doesn't have so many things that you can pick from. But it's just totally changed everything. But then again, going back to when technology stops working, you still have to know how to teach. You can't rely on that to always be there. But it is so nice to be able to, because kids now, they grow up, mom hands them an iPad, and I'm guilty with my own children. Mom hands them an iPad when we're at the restaurant and you're having to wait, or at the doctor's office or whatever. And I try to limit it with my own children, because I see kids that come in who they can't stay focused for more than 5 minutes or less, because they've always had the screen in front of them. So it's a good attention grabber when I need to reel them in and get them focused on what we're doing. So we'll start with a video, and then I can move into just the regular teaching. So,
what advice would you give a teacher candidate regarding preparing to teach this new digital generation?
Well, just like I told you that I learned and I kind of taught myself. I would say learn as much as you can about computers. Take some computer classes. Do as much as you can to prepare yourself, because once you get thrown into your first classroom, you may not have anybody who can help you fix things, or you may not have anybody who can show you how to use something. So you just need to be prepared, and also make sure that your teaching strategies without technology are really strong, because something's going to break one day. Your internet's going to go out. There was one year when we first started using the online component of our reading series, and we loved it, and we got really reliant on it. And then they updated our Wi-Fi, and something happened when they updated it, and it was awful. And we could hardly use our internet at all for probably 3 or 4 months while they were trying to get the fix for it. So, we just had to kind of back up. And
old school
the
teach.
biggest thing is you've got to be able to old school teach. Technology is great, and I love how JSU shows you guys how to use technology and wants you to incorporate it in your lessons, but you have to remember that it might not always be there.
Yes. So how do you use technology for behavior management?
I don't right now use technology, because we're still working on what kind of behaviors we're looking for, practicing, doing things like that. But after Christmas, I usually use Class Dojo. So it's a point system, and you can set it up 2 different ways. They can earn points or they can take away points and get into the negative, or you can give them points and they only get down to 0. I usually only get down to 0 because kids don't understand negative.
Right.
But so, and then you can even connect it to like the parent. The kids love to see, who's leading in the points race and who's doing the right thing, and it really motivates them to try to win. And so I try to move from extrinsic to intrinsic by the end of the year. So at the beginning of the year, I'm passing candy out like it's, just handing M&Ms and handing suckers and doing lots of things like stamps on their hands and things like that. But then we slowly start phasing things out to try to get their intrinsic motivation
to more self-regulate without that reward system.
Mm-hmm.
I like the earning points, and it's not really a competition, but I guess it could be a competition.
Yeah.
Did all the students in the class know the other children's scores? Has that been a problem?
That's why I don't introduce it at the beginning of the year, because we're still working on that. We're like a family in our classroom, and we take care of each other, and we say kind words and things like that. So by the time I introduce it, I don't introduce it until I feel that they're ready. And there's been some years that I didn't introduce it at all because I just had too many that would just go overboard with it. But if that happens, we talk about it and go back, and they're 5, so things are going to happen, but it lends itself to conversations about that kind of thing. So.